Thank you. I'll start with a short chant and then a little introduction. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning and namaste, everybody. Thanks for turning up. What we'll do in this session is, I am going to divide the whole session into three parts. So I'm going to talk about three of my favorite psychologists and their work and how it can help us. And after each, when I talk about the work of each psychologist, I'll try to keep it short and just, the takeaway, which you can take away from this. And then we'll have a short Q&A about that part, that psychologist's work. Then I'll move on to the second one, and then we have a second Q&A about that section. And then the final part, the third psychologist whose work I like, and then we'll have a final Q&A. So 3 short talks and 3 short Q&As. That sounds good? Okay. The background is this. Why is a monk, spiritual teacher, spiritual seeker, why am I speaking about psychology? The reason is that recently there has been a change in psychology. There has been the development of a branch of psychology called positive psychology. And many of the things that they do have a lot of commonality with Vedanta, yoga, with spiritual life. So that's why that accounts for my interest in it. And especially something that's immediately useful to all of us. It's useful to me, it's useful to all of you, I think. So without any further introduction, I'll just get into the subject. There's 3 psychologists whose work I would like to use today. One is Martin Seligman, Seligman. Those who are taking notes, I can take it down. Martin Seligman. He's in fact regarded as the father of positive psychology. That's one. Then there is Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and I know it's a very big spelling to write down. Some of you are writing, so I'll dictate it. So number 2, the second psychologist we're going to speak about, Mihaly, Mihalyi, Mihaly. That's the first name, and the last name is Csikszentmihalyi. You can hear me, all of you? Yeah. Csikszentmihalyi, that's a really difficult one. Let me see. Csikszentmihalyi. Again, Mihalyi, Mihalyi. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And the third psychologist whose work I'm going to use is Nathaniel Branden. Just write Branden, Branden, Branden. And what are we going to study today? What are we going to take a look at? The first subject, Martin Seligman, is about happiness. It's about happiness. What is happiness? How do people become happy? And what can we do to be happy in our own lives? So happiness, subject 1. Nice, happy subject. Then the second one, which we're going to look at, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, is called focus, called concentration, power of focus or concentration. That's the second subject. The third subject we'll look at is self-confidence. Self-confidence. Nathaniel Branden's work on self-confidence. So these 3 things. And I promise whatever we learn here will be easy to learn and also easy to apply. It'll make a difference in our lives, all our lives. It'll make a difference to my life. It'll make a difference to your lives also. Okay, so what's all this about positive psychology? About 30 years ago, in America, there is an organization called the APA, American Psychology Association. Actually, there are 2 APAs, I did not know. One is American Psychiatry Association, another one is American Psychology Association. And both have their headquarters near each other in Washington, D.C., and both hate each other. So, recently, a few months ago, there was an invitation from the American Psychiatry Association. They invited leaders of different religions because they want to collaborate with faith, psychiatry and faith, to tackle the mental health problem. So I didn't know that there were two APAs and both are nearby. So I got a little confused at first, which one is inviting? Anyway, they are now becoming more interested in spirituality. So what is this positive psychology? What happened was, about 20, 30 years ago, one of these organizations, APA, American Psychology Association, their president was this Martin Seligman. Now, if you are the president of these organizations, you have a lot of power to give grants. Grants means money for research. And so his particular interest was in the positive side of psychology. So he gave a lot of grants, encouraged development of psychology along one track, one particular track. What is this? He's a very humorous man. I've not met him, just read about him and read his work and seen some videos online. So what is this positive psychology? He's explaining nicely. He said that once I was interviewed by CNN. He's joking, it's not a real story. I was interviewed by CNN and they came and asked me, Professor Seligman, please tell us, what is the status of psychology today? What is the condition of psychology today? But this is CNN, you cannot give a long lecture. And not like this, 1.5 hours. You have to be short. And then the professor said, how much can I speak? One word. What is the state of psychology today? And the professor said, good. No, cut. You have to explain little more. So, 2 words, you get 2 words this time. What is the state of psychology today? And the professor said, not good. What? Just now you said good, now you're saying not good. Explain little more. 3 words this time. And what is the state of psychology today? And the professor said, not good enough. So, it is good. Psychology has done a lot, especially psychiatry has done a lot to cure mental illness. But it's not good because there are many areas of the human psychology which we have not studied. It's not good enough. It has to be better. So how psychology can be better? This Professor Seligman, how about studying the strengths of the human mind? What is positive? What is good in the human psychology? See, the way he defined it was, earlier psychology was about, and psychiatry was about, taking people from -5 to 0. So if somebody has a lot of mental problems, how to cure that person and make that person normal. But what about taking a person who's normal? Taking a person from 0 to +5. Improving our lives. So in medicine, for example, there's something like sports medicine. That's not for sick people, that's for fit people. It can make you fitter. Similarly, can psychology help normal people like us to make us better, to help us in our lives? So that was the subject of positive psychology. Not just to cure illness, not just to solve problems, but actually help us in our day-to-day lives and see how our lives can be better. So that's very nice. He especially, this Seligman, he specialized in the area of happiness studies. So this must be a very happy subject to study, happiness studies. We all want to be happy. We all want, there are many words for it, happiness, joy, peace, so satisfaction. Multiple words are there, but how do people become happy? So he studied that. And what he found, that I'm going to put before you, and then we'll have a short Q&A about it. So happiness, what makes people happy? Now write down those who are writing, write down one equation. This equation sums up Seligman's work completely. H is equal to P plus E plus M. H is equal to P plus E plus M. So what is H? Happiness. And what is happiness a function of? What does it consist of? 3 things. P, E, M. What are those 3? P, E, M? I'll talk about it now. First, happiness. P stands for pleasure. P stands for pleasure. So whenever we want to be happy, what do we think of? We think that, what makes me happy immediately? Maybe I'll watch my favorite TV show or movie or something like that. Or I go out if I like, my favorite food. So I go out to my favorite shop to have kind of food which I like, or I go on, play my favorite computer game or whatever it is, something that gives me pleasure, that makes me feel good right now. So that's pleasure. Any kind of sense happiness. So the happiness that you get from indulgence in some kind of sense pleasure. Now, another kind of happiness is what is called engagement. E. E is engagement. Engagement, what is the difference between pleasure and engagement? Engagement is when you are actively doing something. Actively you are engaged in some activity, and that gives you happiness. What do I mean that active engagement? What do I mean by that? It means, for example, you could watch a TV show that will give you some happiness, that's pleasure. Or you could go out and play a game, tennis, or do you play cricket in Singapore? No. Baseball or cricket? Cricket. Maybe, a little bit. So you go out for play a game of cricket or whatever it is with your friends. When you're playing something with your friends, you are actively engaged in it, right? You have to, you're just sitting back and relaxing and watching a TV show. That's different. That's passive consumption. An active engagement. So you might watch a game on TV, whichever game you like, you might watch a game on TV. That's passively consuming. You might actually go out and play that game with your friends. Maybe you won't be able to play as well as a professional on TV. But the happiness that you get in actually engaging with the game with your friends, that's more than just sitting back and consuming some TV program or watching it on TV. Do you see the difference between passive and active? Yeah. Active means you are actively engaged, your capacities are engaged in something. So passive and active, pleasure and engagement. Engagement is the joy, the happiness that we get from your work. If you're a student, from your studies. Someone might say that, I don't get any happiness from my studies. I know you're all bright kids, so some part of your studies you get happiness. All of us, we have a favorite subject, and we are happy when we are studying that favorite subject, So the happiness that you get when you are studying, or you're working if you have a job, or you're playing, actually actively playing a game, or you're engaging in a hobby, not sitting down and watching a TV show. So you're actively doing something, that's called the happiness from engagement. And what Seligman found was, he did these surveys. So what he found was, most people, that they get much more happiness from engagement than from pleasure. Pleasure, P, engagement, E. Which gives more happiness? Engagement gives more happiness. Engagement is tougher because you have to do something. Pleasure is easier. You have to relax and eat an ice cream or something. But when you do something, your general level of happiness is more. It is more sustained. It will continue for a long while. Whereas pleasure, it comes and goes. You want to have an ice cream, it's pleasurable. Go and have an ice cream, it's gone. Within 1 minute, it's gone. You want to watch a show, you watch the show, the pleasure is there. Within a few minutes, it's gone. But this engagement, it gives you more lasting and deeper happiness. So those who find joy, happiness in study, in work, or in active hobbies, they are lucky, because their level of happiness will be more. Then there is a third source of happiness, M. P, E, and third one is M. M stands for meaning. M stands for meaning. Somebody is asking, meaning? Meaning of what? Not meaning of a word in dictionary, meaning of life. In life, you have a purpose, some goal, something that gives you a sense of purpose in life. I'll give you an example, which Seligman himself has given. How meaning gives more happiness. So in his psychology class in the university, one day he said, today there'll be no class, we are all going to watch a movie. So all the kids were happy, the students were very happy. Okay, let's go and watch a movie. So they all went as a group and they watched a movie and they came back to the class. After the class, the professor gave them, in psychology class, they will always give surveys. So, questionnaire. How much happiness did this movie give you? Rank it from 1 to 5. 1, no happiness. 5, maximum happiness. In between something. So all the students gave some ranking. How much happiness this movie gave me. Next week, the professor said, Today also no class. The students must have said, another movie? No. Today we are going to go to this part of the city and we are going to meet kids from poor families and we are going to make friends with them. We have collected toys and clothes. We will gift those toys and clothes to the kids. We'll spend the afternoon with them. And so they did that. And when they came back, they were given a survey, same survey. How much happiness did it give you? 1 to 5. And they gave some, how much happiness that activity gave them. Now the interesting thing happened 6 months later. Suddenly in the class, the professor turned up with a questionnaire and he said, remember that movie? How much happiness that movie gives you now, 6 months later? And most of the students, they said, yeah, we remember, we went to a movie. Some could not remember the name of the movie. How much happiness are you feeling now because of that movie? 1, 2 maybe. Do you remember we went out and spent time with the kids, made friends, and you gave them gifts? If you think about it, right now, how much happiness do you feel? Still, high level of happiness. Some gave 3, 4, 5, something like that. Now, this shows when you do something meaningful, especially something for others, is crucial. When you do something for others, the happiness that you get will be high and it will remain for a long time. As long as you remember it, whenever you think back upon it, I did something for somebody. I helped somebody, I gave a gift to somebody, I sacrificed something and gave it to somebody else. If you remember that, your happiness will be constant. It will not go away. The happiness done out of selflessness, unselfishness, the happiness you get from that, that does not fade away. That remains. It's sustained. And that is a finding in psychology, in academic studies. So altruistic is a big word, altruistic happiness. Altruistic, does anybody know the spelling? Who can tell me? Don't be shy. ALTRUISTIC. Yeah, altruistic. Altruistic means unselfish. Unselfish. So if you do something for your friends or your family, your mom and dad, or people in your neighborhood or in your school, if you do that, you will feel more happy yourself. Normally we think if I do something for myself, I'll be happy. I, me, mine. That makes you happy. But what kind of happiness is that? Suppose you get a candy bar and you eat it, your favorite candy bar, and you eat it, and you feel happy. What kind of happiness is that? P, E, or M? P, yes, P, you're right, pleasure, pleasure. But if you share it with your friend, you give it to your friends, that makes you happy too. What kind of happiness is that? M, that's happiness, M, yeah. So, this was his discovery. Pretty simple, Seligman, out of a lot of surveys and all, basically he put together all his findings and he put it there. And his finding was, happiness is a total of pleasure and engagement and meaning. Pleasure will give you some happiness, but it is small amount and it will quickly go away. It comes and goes. And the same thing will not give you more pleasure again and again if you repeat it again and again. Those who are college students, you may be studying economics. How many of you are studying economics? A few of you. Studying economics, there's something called diminishing marginal utility. When you consume something, you have a piece of candy and you get happiness. And if you have a second piece of chocolate, you get happiness again, may not be the same level. You eat a third one, you will get happiness, but less. Pleasure, less. And if you eat a fourth one, fifth one, after some time you will get no happiness, you will feel sick. So that's called the happiness, the pleasure, the satisfaction that you get from each additional unit. 1 chocolate, 2 chocolates, 3 chocolates, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You say, stop, stop, stop. I don't want any more. So this pleasure has a problem that if you keep doing it, you will not get that pleasure. After some time, the pleasure will go down. This we understand. Whether it's a movie, suppose you like watching a TV show. You watch 30 minutes TV show, you like very happy. Next episode you watch for 30 more minutes, happy. Then you watch 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. Don't do that, but I'm telling you, just think. If you have watched 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, will you be feeling happy anymore? No, headache. I don't like it at all. And then if they say, the TV makes you happy, yes, then we will put you in a room, shut the door, only TV will be there. You watch 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I'll go mad. I don't want it. So pleasure is limited. As you take more and more of it, it drops off. It reduces sharply. But engagement, if you get, yeah, the kids can come forward. You can come closer. Engagement, work, study, if you get happiness from that, that remains at a higher level. You can go on and on. I remember, I knew this kid in a school many years ago, and he was quite mischievous. He was not interested in studies, but I knew he was very intelligent. So what I did was math. I introduced him to a higher level, like he was in grade 7. What do you call it here? He was in grade 7, and I introduced him to math of grade 8, grade 9, and he started doing it. And like a crazy, like he was just absorbed in it, doing mathematics. You might think mathematics is boring, difficult, but he was getting happiness. I was not forcing him to do it. He was doing it by himself because he liked it. He loved it. That joy which he got out of it, and that's the joy of engagement. Once he kind of absorption comes in it. There was a French philosopher, mathematician. Have you heard of Pascal? Pascal. Pascal, yes. So he said, teach a boy or a girl to read and leave good books lying around in the house. The child will take care of his or her education. But it means once you find interest, the things which we learn best are the ones which we love most. You find it most interesting. So that is engagement, the joy of engagement. And if you are lucky to find something meaningful, meaningful is often something that you do for others. Need not be. A scientist or an artist can find meaning in the work that they're doing. So if you find something meaningful, purposeful, that will give you maximum happiness. So this is basically the work of Seligman. Happiness is equal to pleasure, engagement, meaning. Little bit I'll add, this may not make sense to all of you, but those of you interested in spirituality, religion, it'll make sense. In Hinduism, we have the goals of human life. What do human beings want? So 4 things. Does anybody know what those 4 things are? Yes. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. What's your name? Vedanta. Oh, wonderful. your name is there in the title itself. So Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. What do they mean? Kama means pleasure. Pleasure. Artha means wealth, money, success. You can connect it to engagement, job. So engagement. Artha means engagement. And dharma means religion, goodness, morality. You can connect it to meaning. Now, can you see this mapping? Well, you wrote down H is equal to P, E, M. So P is pleasure. Can you write below it P, Kama, K-A-M-A? That's a Sanskrit word for pleasure. Just write below P, Kama. Just write below E, engagement, Artha, A-R-T-H-A, Artha, the pursuit of wealth, success, power, making it, you're the top guy in your profession, Artha. And below M, you write Dharma, religion, morality. There is one more thing which Seligman has not mentioned. That's the last one is Moksha, M-O-K-S-H-A, Moksha. Moksha means spiritual freedom. What Vivekananda taught, what Krishna taught in the Gita, what Buddha taught, spiritual freedom. Instead of continuously pushing outwards into the world to get happiness, can I find that everlasting happiness, which will never go away? Is it possible? Answer in all religions is yes. There is some solution to this problem of human life. It is possible. Every religion has this promise. So, moksha. One more thing. Because it's positive psychology, it's a modern academic discipline, they will not talk about it. But they have interest in it. In fact, I'll tell you one interesting experience I had. I told you that recently I was invited by the American Psychiatry Association, the other APA, for a conference of religious leaders and psychiatrists in Washington, D.C. In the lunch break, the president, the ex-president of the APA, was a big man in the psychiatry world. And American psychiatry world is a big world because the largest number of psychiatrists in the world in America. They say that America has the largest number of psychiatrists and largest number of lawyers in the world, which does not say very much for the health of American society. Anyway, this ex-president of the American Psychiatry Association, because I was wearing this dress, he knew I was a monk. He told me that I actually spent in my youth, I spent 2 or 3 years in Japan meditating in a Buddhist monastery. And even now, he was psychiatrist, top level psychiatrist in USA, president of the American Psychiatry Association. Every day I meditate. So there is something beyond meaning, P-E-M, something beyond meaning, call it moksha, capital M. So, yeah, kama, artha, dharma, moksha. All right, I'll stop here. If you have questions about it or any comment about it, don't be shy. Yesterday, all the grown-ups were there in the Gita class. Nobody was shy. They had any number of questions. So kids are generally shy. Somebody has to do the icebreaker. Tell us your name and ask the question. Yeah, I don't know if it's on. You can go there and ask the question. Yeah.
Hello, Swamiji. My name is Rohan. Thank you for this forum today and the talks that you've been giving past few days. My question is linked to both what we're discussing today and what you had mentioned yesterday towards the end a little bit. It's about desire and how you mentioned that in most of the cases, it is the root of the suffering. So my question is, how do we bring the cessation or not having many desires into our day-to-day life without being in a sluggish or tamasic state, as you would say?
Yeah.
Because it seems to me like in key areas in our life, such as doing good, learning, helping people, which are key components of happiness, there is some desire behind that as well.
True.
Yeah.
I think Rohan has asked a really good question. Yesterday we were talking about Gita, and I also mentioned Buddha. Both of them, Krishna in the Gita and Buddha, they came to the same conclusion that the more desires you have, more unhappiness you have, and reduce desires to go beyond unhappiness. But what Rohan pointed out, that if you look at happiness, H is equal to P plus E plus M. Behind each of them, there are desires. It could be a desire for a video game or a bar of chocolate, that's P. It could be desire for playing a game with my friends outside or studying my favorite subject in the library, that's E. Or it could be a desire to do something for my friends or community or other people, help people, or some larger cause like the environment or whatever. So that's also desire. In that case, how can giving up desires lead to happiness? If you don't have those desires, then you will not get happiness. Very good question. Now, notice one thing. Pleasure gives the least amount of happiness and it quickly goes away. Engagement gives more happiness, and meaning in life gives much more happiness, and moksha is supposed to give maximum happiness. In each case, you will see pleasure, engagement, meaning, the desires are becoming less personal and larger and wider. They are more, see, in the case of pleasure, I want to relax, I won't do anything and just relax and have some fun. That's pleasure. It does not involve anybody else, it's just I. But when you are engaged, when you're talking about engagement, literally the word engagement, you have to engage with your school or your office or your community or your sports team, whatever it is. You are already moving beyond your own self. And there, you see the level of activity and engagement is much more. You are not consuming passively. You are actively doing something, maybe playing a musical instrument. Listening to music, great. Actually trying to play a musical instrument, even better, even though you may not be able to play the way a professional plays it. So, the nature of desires, the more you refine it and make it higher, higher means not physically higher, involving more people, not just for my own pleasure, but moving from pleasure to engagement to meaning. And then the happiness keeps on increasing. You are right. Let alone all that spiritual talk. If you have desire, the first thing that it does, if you want something, the first thing that it will do for you, it will move you from a tamasic state to rajasic state. From being lazy, I don't want to do anything, I want to sleep, that's tamasic. But if I want something, even like my favorite chocolate ice cream or whatever I want, I have to get out of bed and at least go to the fridge or go to the shop. So you have moved from tamas to rajas, activity, from inertia to activity. How did you do that? Because of my desire. But very soon I realized those desires are small and they will not give too much happiness. And you have a desire for engagement or meaning, more happiness. Yeah. And then comes the question of transcending desire, going beyond desire. Yeah. Good question.
Thank you so much.
Nam Swamiji, this is Kavita. Being a parent, I find most of the time the kind of resistant with the kid and keeping the influence of the outer world, how we can develop this positive psychology in our kid regarding our spiritual practices, Vedanta, because they have a lot of influence of outside world,
All right,
internet.
I get the
So
question.
it's a consistent fight
Yeah.
with them.
Right, it shouldn't be a consistent fight.
Yeah.
Now notice, even if you take up the work of Seligman, what would Seligman say? He would say that most of the time when the kids are fighting with you, you want them to do something and they want to do something else. They are pulling towards the P, the pleasure end of it.
Yes.
You are trying to push them towards the engagement and meaning end of it, activities which are engaging in meaning. Now here is the special power that you have. Seligman promises that engagement and meaning will give more happiness than P.
Correct.
So if you can give the kids a taste of that engagement or meaning, they will themselves get more happiness and they will start doing more of that. Then less and less of this. Less P oriented, more E and M oriented. Moksha, spirituality, of course, lies beyond that. But as we get a taste for higher things in life, and the higher things give more happiness. Only thing is that the problem is that which gives pleasure is instinctive. You don't have to teach it. You don't have to teach a kid to love a video game. They love it themselves. It has been designed in such a way as to hook you. But something like playing a musical instrument or being good at sports or studying a particular subject and mastering it, that gives a lot of happiness, more happiness, but it takes an initial effort. Gita puts it very beautifully. It says there are three kinds of happiness: tamasic happiness, rajasic happiness, and sattvic happiness. Tamasic happiness, happiness of lying down and what are you doing? Nothing. And I'm happy. So that's tamasic happiness. Rajasic, and that's destructive. It leads to degeneration. Rajasic happiness is when we try to consume something and get happiness out of it. So in Gita it is said, yatta dagre amritopamam pariname vishameva. At first, when you do it, it feels like nectar. It feels like the best thing ever. A video game or a movie or something that is immediately pleasurable. It feels like nectar, amrita, in the beginning, but the result is poisonous. Pariname vishameva, spoil your life. Time has gone, good habits have not been developed, skills have not been developed. I haven't developed myself. I haven't reached any part of my potential. So over time, what happens is that thing which I liked very much, maybe a video game or something, as you grow up, it's no longer pleasurable, but a lot of time and energy has been wasted and opportunities are gone. So it's poisonous in the end. Very nice in the beginning, poisonous in the end. Beware of such things. Whatever is immediately nice, but 1 hour, 1 day, 1 year down the line, it's poisonous. All sorts of addictions are like that. Then the third one is sattvic sukha. So sattvic sukha is that which comes out of cultivation. It says, yatta dagre vishamiva pariname amritopamam, which seems like poison at first because it's not pleasurable. Learning how to play a musical instrument, mastering a subject like maths or something like that, it's difficult at first. And over time also it's difficult. But more and more joy keeps coming. And the level of joy is much higher, much higher. You learn classical music and you go to a rock concert. Rock concert, you don't have to be trained to enjoy it. It's instinctive. People will jump around and dance around automatically. What training have you got? Which school did you go? How are you enjoying this rock concert? Nothing. Because it appeals immediately to the instincts. But to appreciate classical music and even more to play it, it takes a long time. Who gets more joy? They get more joy. Sattvic Sukha. So yeah, this is the answer. You have to work with moving them from P to E and M. And the earlier we get that taste, the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji.
All right. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Hari Om Swamiji, thanks so much for sharing. I'm Tarun.
Arun.
Tarun,
yes.
So my question was, between engagement and meaning, how can we distinguish between the two? Because let's think about a football game. I may watch it, I may be engaged, but someone like Messi, he gets a lot of meaning from it. So how do we distinguish between
How do you
engagement
distinguish
and
between
meaning?
engagement and meaning? Yeah, that's a question I've thought about. One sign of meaningful pursuits is when other people are included in it. So someone like Messi might be a great player and he just gets into the flow of it when he is playing. But over time, he feels like encouraging younger players, maybe starting a football school, helping out people. That engagement has moved to the level of meaning. And many people do that. You're really good at something, but then after some time you feel, can I use this to help other people? Share this joy and with other kids. When you have meaning, engagement has moved to meaning. So one criterion may not be totally correct, but one criterion is, are more people beyond myself, are they involved? Am I really helping other people also? That is more meaningful. Automatically you feel more meaning in that. So he may not be playing a world level game at that age anymore, but his happiness has increased. How? He was very happy playing world class football. Now he cannot. Maybe he's retired, he doesn't play world class football. He's getting older, but his happiness keeps on increasing because now he's using those skills to, suppose he does it, using those skills to train a next generation of footballers. And this can be true of any field whatsoever, when you try to help others. I know a monk who is a world class mathematician. He gets great joy in mathematics. But also what he does is, he conducts these maths camps, which helps kids who are interested in mathematics to learn. You might say that's a waste of his time. He's doing world level, PhD and beyond that level mathematics. What's the use of spending time encouraging school kids? But that is meaning. The first one is engagement. The next one is meaning. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Shreya.
Pranam Maharaj, I am Shreya. Just some time back, you had told about this American psychiatrist who got great joy by practicing meditation. So, my question is this: I'm a kid, not yet initiated, and my parent, my mother, my grandmother, they are already initiated. They do japa on that mantra. So, I am not yet initiated. And without being initiated, how can I practice meditation?
You can. There's so many meditation techniques. And the simplest thing you can do without being initiated also, you can just chant Om. You can do it loudly, softly, mentally. Do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And one day when you get your initiation in mantra, then you can replace it and then you go forward with your mantra, which your guru will give you in future. So right now you can start. Start with chanting Om. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Nana and Swamiji, my name is Raghav. I think my
Raghav.
question is
Yeah.
Raghav.
Yeah.
Across dharma.
Okay, that's the last question from the young lady there. Then we'll go on to the next section. Yeah.
Across dharma, arth, kam, and moksha, what do you see as predestined versus influenceable by free will?
So what is predestined and versus?
Influenceable by free will. Our free will.
Influenceable by free will. Yeah. The amount of success that we get has a lot to do with our past karma. So I'm putting in some effort. Another person with less effort is getting much more success. I'm not getting that kind of success. So it may be that person has a lot of good karma in the past. That might be. But one thing is common. Whether you have got good karma in the past, whether it is predestination, whatever you call it, you have to make an effort. I'll tell you something in Hindi. How many of you understand Hindi? Okay, a lot of you, but I'll translate also. This is something that a monk told us, which is a direct answer to your question. He said, handa, the big cauldron where rice is made, and then if a lot of people are going to eat, there's something called a karchi. Karchi is like a ladle, a big spoon. So you put it in the cauldron, take out the big amount of rice, and then you put it in smaller containers. Okay, this is the basic idea. What he said was, आपके हंडा में चावल होगी तो थोड़ा कच्ची चलाइए उठ के आएगी. You have a lot, your whole cauldron is it's full of rice. You put your ladle in just once, it will come up with a full ladle, and then you can use it. अगर कम होगी तो अंदर तक चलानी पड़ेगी. If there's very little rice there, then you have to go deep inside and then pull it out with more effort. और खाली है तो ठन ठन शब्द मात्र होगी. If it's empty, then you will only have a clanging sound if you try to put the spoon inside. But that spoon, putting the spoon in that ladle inside, that you have to do anyway. You have to try it out. And even the one who gets nothing out of it, the clanging sound, no effort is wasted. So in karma, theory of karma is if you make an effort, the result you may not get right now, but you will get a result later. So the point here is to make an effort. Yeah. Last question.
Hi. This question is not related to
Tell us
anything
your
right
name.
now. Karishma. So I wanted to know, if you want to reach moksha, do you need to do any form of deity worship, like take a sankalp, or like how lots of tantric practitioners?
Yeah, straight answer is
or
like
can you get moksha from just any Vigyan Bhairav Tantra methods, just like meditating, looking inwards?
Right. Okay. So, deity worship, is it necessary for moksha? I would say, straight answer, highly recommended. So, some form. The reason is, in Advaita Vedanta, for example, we do analysis. I'm not the body, not the mind, I'm the witness consciousness. But the witness consciousness is not an object. It's not something you can hold on to. Our senses, our mind wants an object to grasp. Mind wants to think about something. The heart wants to love something. The senses want to see, hear, smell, taste something. Now the ultimate reality is beyond the senses, beyond the mind, beyond our emotions. It is you yourself. Many people can understand this, but very few people can stabilize themselves in this. So they want to grasp something. So this deity worship performs both purposes. It is helpful on your way to enlightenment, and also after enlightenment, it is a way of expressing that enlightenment. You know you are Brahman, but also you see Brahman in the deity and in everything else. You asked about Vijnana Bhairava. Vijnana Bhairava is a Kashmiri Shaiva text. There are about 112 dharanas there, techniques of meditation. I have practiced only one or two of those. They are very useful. They are all useful. All of them are meant to do only one thing, to take you to the realization of your own Shiva nature according to their paradigm, the Kashmiri Shaiva paradigm. It's a technique. It's like many of them are like tricks to force the mind to turn back and realize who am I. Preliminary to that, a deity worship is most useful. And after all, this is a general observation. We all want enlightenment, realization, God realization, whatever you call it. So one should not get too stuck up on this method or that method. Whatever will take me to God realization, to enlightenment is welcome.
Okay.
Right.
Just another doubt I have. Is it true that there are like additional benefits you get from deity worship, like deities help you or something like that?
There are additional benefits. Additional benefits, as I wouldn't put it in those terms, but anyway, one thing is this. Deity worship is basically taking the help of God. Okay. Ishvara, Bhagavan. Most of us are not strong enough to go straight that I am Brahman, the world is an appearance. That's it. And I'm going to live my life in that way. Now, I'm going to live my life in that way, it's a very big thing. Many things will happen in life. In one sadhu used to say in Hindi, Ishwar bahut bada sahara hai. Is a very big support, psychological support for you. That's why the theistic religions so popular, because they're talking about a God to whom you can pray, a God on whom you can lean on. If you feel you don't need it, you don't need it. But my answer is why not? Why not?
Thank you.
Personally, if you ask me, I'm a big supporter of deity worship. In fact, in Tibetan Buddhism, the 4 levels of spiritual life are, first level is what they will call the drishti. That means you must make up your mind, the spiritual life is real, I'm going to pursue it. That's one. The second level is ethical. My life must be moral, ethical, grounded in ethics. Otherwise, no spirituality will work. You can be good without being interested in God, but you cannot pursue God without being a good person first. So ethics, that is the second level. Third level is deity worship. And the fourth level is realizing your Buddha nature.
Okay.
So you see, the same thing in Hinduism also. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on. They're good questions. That shows people are listening carefully and thinking about it and trying to apply it to their own situation. All right, let's move on to the second psychologist whose work I really like, the one with the big name, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And his work is on concentration. He wrote this wonderful book, Flow, F-L-O-W, Flow. I would recommend it, that if you are interested, read it. Everybody will love it. And you can understand, it's not difficult. It became a very popular book, Flow. So Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he was from, I think, Czechoslovakia, one of the Eastern European countries. And after the Second World War, he was in Vienna, in Austria. I'm just telling you a little bit of his backstory. He passed away just 2 years ago. He worked in the United States for most of his life, but he was in Europe just after the Second World War. And how he became interested in psychology, he says that after the Second World War, he was in Vienna, in Austria, and one day, evening, he was free as a young student. So he had 2 choices. One was movie. In those days, black and white movies was there. And another one was lecture. Some lecture was happening. Now, movie required a ticket. You have to pay money. He said, I had no money. Lecture was free. So he decided, I'll go and attend the lecture. And the lecture was by none other than Carl Jung. Those who have studied psychology will know the name. He was a student of Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung. So Carl Jung was giving a lecture in which he talked about human archetypes, the meaning of life and so on. And Mihai Csikszentmihalyi said, I was fascinated by this subject. And I decided this is going to be my area of study for the rest of my life. So his whole life was how to improve the quality of our life, how to make my life better. And what is the answer he got? Simple, straight, powerful answer. Quality of life depends on focus. Focus, attention, concentration, whatever you call it, different names are there. The quality of our life depends on what you focus on and how much focus you give there. What we focus on and how much we focus on, what we give our minds to and how much of your mind you give to that. So suppose there's a problem in your life, some problem, some misery is there. What happens is mind automatically goes to the problem. And if you're continuously thinking about the problem, you are focused on the problem. What will be the quality of your life? Miserable. Miserable life. But if you deliberately focus on something positive, like your study, your work, your meditation, your spiritual practice, even if the problem is there, the quality of your life will be much better. One lady was suffering from cancer. She said that medical bills and the pain of chemotherapy, and whole life was miserable. And then I don't know if it will be cured, whether I will die or not. Whole life was miserable. And then she thought, I cannot go on like this. So let me focus instead on, she was a writer, let me focus on my writing. Whatever little amount of attention I have to give to the medical bill and treatment, that much attention I'll give. Rest of the time I will not think about it. Let me totally think about my work. And she said, my life with cancer, the quality of my life with cancer was better than the quality of my life before cancer. Because I was happier. Because I was thinking about a good thing most of the time. So focus, concentration, attention, it changes the quality of our life. This is a big learning to take away, especially in this day and age, because this is the age of distraction. We are continuously distracted. So even here, you will notice, some of you are listening attentively, but not all. There's something called intermittent attention. This has come out, it's a new term. In meetings, in lectures, even when you're enjoying yourself, you're watching a movie, but intermittent attention. What is that intermittent attention? You're listening to the speaker, a little bit mobile phone, let me see what has come latest. Back to the speaker again. I saw in classrooms, the teacher is teaching. Now it's common. We did not know it. You kids will know it much better. It's all over the world. I saw it in one of the best universities of the world, at Harvard University. I would sit in the classroom, I would watch, I would listen to the teacher, but also watch what the kids are doing. So all are on their devices, laptops or iPads or whatever. And they are listening. They're very smart kids. They're listening to the teacher, but also quickly checking up on what the teacher is saying, the same subject matter on their screens. But then what happens is, from the screen, the subject matter, they go to some extra information. From that extra information, little something else from there, little checking up of their social media status, back to the teacher. So this continuous going away and coming back, it has become a habit nowadays. Anyway, and that has a big role to play. One of the psychologists found out, when you are concentrating intensely, if you break your concentration, just to look at your phone maybe, for 10 seconds also, it takes up to 15 to 20 minutes to bring it back to that level of depth of concentration. I was amazed, 15, 20 minutes. I thought maybe 2 minutes, if you try hard, it will come back. He says, no. The level of concentration, continued attention, it will take 15 to 20 minutes of effort again to bring it back. That's why don't interrupt. Don't interrupt your flow of attention. It becomes a habit. Notice how difficult it is to switch off the phone and keep it away. We have this tendency to keep looking at it. That's one distraction, the tendency to keep looking at it. And that's because we have been trained to distraction. All right, let me give you the essence, just like I gave you the equation for Seligman, H is equal to P plus E plus M. Let me give you the essence of Csikszentmihalyi's work, what he has said in the book Flow. What is concentration and how to improve concentration? Concentration is most important. Another book I mentioned, I think last year, Deep Work by Cal Newport. Deep Work. In that, he has said, the value of concentration has increased immeasurably in today's market. If you can concentrate in whatever field you are, you will be a more important person for the organization and for your job, for your profession than others, because of the situation today. Because concentration, focus is becoming increasingly rare in this world of digital distraction. Those who can concentrate, they will get much higher rewards. Examples, he has given nice examples. How many of you have heard of Harry Potter? Everyone should have heard of. Why only, I think 60%, 70%, everyone should have heard of. Okay, put your hands down. Cal Newport mentions that, what's the name? J.K. Rowling, who wrote the books. The last book she finished in a hotel. Why? She has children at home, and she found she could not concentrate, and the deadline was coming. She could not concentrate with people around her. One day she was in a hotel and she sat down to write, and she could write. So she went back again. She did not have to stay in the hotel. On purpose she went back. Just hired any room and stayed in that room and finished writing the book. Focus, necessary. That to cut away everything else. Once the secret of focus is, you have to say no. Say no. What is the secret? What happens in distractions? I'm saying yes to any distraction. Anything that I see, oh, what is that? I'm focusing on a book. Something happens, oh, what is that? Phone, another person comes, distraction. Learn to say no. Say yes only to the one which you are focusing on. Say no to everything else. That is called concentration. Another example he gave, Cal Newport, was, who's the person who invented or formulated the basic programming language? Do you know? No? Bill Gates, when he was working on his MS-DOS, was it basic or was it MS-DOS? He got MS-DOS, but basic also? I think, I don't know, I have this example I've forgotten partially. Maybe it's MS-DOS, he was working on MS-DOS, probably, the first version of it. He completed the whole programming in 8 weeks in his garage. Barely eating or barely going out to take a bath or a shower, or a nap. Otherwise, 8 weeks continuously, nothing else in his life, and he completed it. So anyway, focus means one-pointed attention, cutting out everything else. Can I not focus intensely and then do something else and then come back and focus intensely? Very difficult. If you want to focus, you have to devote large chunks of time where nothing else is there in your life. Okay, for few hours at least in a day. Now, crucial learning from Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Let me just transfer that learning and then we'll have questions. What is concentration or focus? And how to improve my concentration? 2 things. What is it? How do I get more concentration? And how can I apply it to improve my own concentration? So, in that book Flow, you will find it with more details, but I will give you the basic idea. He says, focus requires 2 things, challenge and skill. Challenge and skill. So whatever you are doing, the task is the challenge. You're driving a car, playing a game of tennis, doing a math homework or your assignment, whatever you're doing, that's the challenge before you. And your ability, your skill to do that, that's the skill part of it. Now, focus, when the challenge is equal to the skill, there will be focus. When you can do the task, whatever is given to you, you can do the task, but you have to put your full effort into it. Then you will have focus. The task is so difficult that you have to give your complete effort into it, then focus will come. If the challenge is more than your skill, what will happen? Anxiety, fear. Suppose you're doing something. He gives an example of you're learning to play tennis. How many of you play tennis? Several of you. Tennis or any other game. When you first learn how to play tennis, it's really difficult because you don't know. Challenge is high, skill is low. There's anxiety, the fear of not being able to perform. As you learn to start serving, it becomes your skill increases equal to the challenge. Then what happens? If your skill is more than the challenge, what will happen? Boredom. You'll get bored. You'll get bored. So, how long will you keep on practicing the serve? Now you want to play a game. You start playing a game against somebody. And that person knows tennis much better than you, is a better player. He'll defeat you. Again, the challenge will be much more than your skill. He'll defeat you easily. He'll beat you easily. So then your challenge has to increase further. When you are playing a game of tennis against somebody whose skills are roughly equal to yours, you will notice you have maximum focus. But because you have to put your whole effort, your whole skill into playing that game. If you're playing against somebody whose skills are much higher than yours, you will have anxiety. You're playing against somebody who barely knows how to play the game, then you'll be bored, you will easily beat. But equal, challenge and skill are equal, then maximum concentration is there. But notice, skill and challenge keep changing. So the level at which you will get concentration will also keep changing. Basic idea, summary let me give you. Challenge more than skill, fear, anxiety. Skill more than challenge, boredom. Skill and challenge are equal, concentration. Now you know the secret. How to get concentration? Make the challenge equal to your skill. Make the challenge equal to your skill. If the challenge is less than your skill, you will feel bored. If the challenge is more than your skill, then you will feel anxiety. Suppose you say challenge is more than my skill. What do I do then? Break down the challenge into manageable blocks. This chapter in math is too difficult. I can't understand it. All right, so it can't be uniformly difficult. Some parts of it are difficult. What parts of it do I get? Which parts of it do I not get? Take help. Solve that part of it. You will see the whole challenge will come within your capacity. If the challenge is low, I'm bored, then what do? Increase the challenge. I knew a student who was brilliant far more brilliant than the teacher and the rest of us in the classroom. And in order to, he was bored in the classroom. What did he do? I saw him taking notes of what the teacher was saying, such precise notes and pristine notes. I thought, why? In order to engage himself, to challenge himself. Can I put down every possible word which the teacher is saying, putting on the blackboard, whatever it is, as a challenge? And that gives a higher level of focus, higher level of concentration. So this is the takeaway. Concentration, focus, attention is vital to our quality of life. Swami Vivekananda said, the greatest power that we have is the concentration of our mind. The key to all knowledge is in the concentration of our mind. Vivekananda has said, the difference between a great person and an ordinary person lies in the degree of concentration. So much he has said. One thing you will notice, anybody who's successful, I've seen in academics at least, physicist, mathematician, in whichever kind of academics, you will notice they have extraordinary levels of concentration. Bound to. In sports, in music, arts, you need to do well, they will all have extraordinary levels of concentration, at least when they are focusing. Most of them, mostly you will see, they are not the distracted kind. Many of them, they don't like this. I've seen again and again, whether it's a physicist, a mathematician, a painter, dancer, writer, anybody who's seriously doing something which demands high levels of concentration, they don't like this stuff because it breaks their concentration. They feel it. So, challenge and skill equal concentration. The moment you feel fear, anxiety, it means challenge is more than your skill. Moment you feel boredom, it means your skill is more than your challenge. So you increase your challenge to the level of your skill or bring down the challenge to the level of your skill. You will get concentration. And concentration is absolutely necessary for success in life. If you are a student, concentration is most important. If you are working, concentration is most important. If you are a spiritual seeker, whether a monk or a layperson, concentration is paramount importance. Without concentration, bhakti, meditation, Advaita, Jnana Yoga, none of them will work. With a scattered mind, none of them will work. With a focused mind, all of them are easy. All of them are easy. All right, questions? Let's have 1 or 2 or 3 questions about concentration. What is concentration? What is the need for concentration and how to get concentration? Don't be shy. Yeah, those who have not asked, they get a first crack at it. Tell us your name and ask the question. What's your name?
My name is Rishikesh.
Rishikesh, yes.
Yeah. So my particular question is more pertinent towards my own situation, I guess. But like, so some of us have like this thing called neurodivergence, like with like ADHD, for example, where because of the way like the neurochemistry works in the brain, like we will have a harder time getting to the point of focus, but once it's there, like there's also a tendency towards like getting really focused. Like there's the difficulty with regulating the attention. So I was wondering whether like Mihai, what insights Mihai and the Vedanta might have towards dealing with these issues.
Okay, 2 points really. I'll say make 2 observations in regard to Rishikesh's question. One is what I learned from a Tibetan monk. He said, short time, many times. What did he say? Short time, many times. Most of us, we find meditation difficult. So he was speaking about that. If you find meditation difficult, and it is difficult, so instead of trying to hold the attention for minutes and hours together, repeat it again and again. Short periods, bursts of concentration. That will work, especially if somebody has ADHD or other neurodivergent conditions. then short time, many times. That's much better than one time, long time. That's very difficult. Second, if you have the capacity for going in really deep, once you fix the attention, and then you are able to go in really deep and hold it there, in fact, find it difficult to pull out also, that's like a superpower. Most kids won't have it. Most people in the world don't have it. And this enables such people to have extraordinary achievements. So it might seem ADHD and stuff like that might seem like a disability, a difficulty in day-to-day life, but there are some benefit of it also, something that you can do which others cannot do. All right, these are the two observations I wanted to make.
Thank you,
All
Swamiji.
right. Yeah, tell us your name and ask the question.
Pranam Swamiji, my name is Nirmal. So question is regarding the skill and challenge example that you gave. I think you have partly answered my question, but I would like to just get a clarity from you. So as we thrive in our career, right, when we begin our career, we have a zeal to like do a lot of things in the beginning of the career. But as we reach at certain stage, let's say maybe 10 or 15 years in the career, you feel that you're stagnated. Is it because that your challenge is not
Yeah.
equal to the skill, or
That's a good question. I think so. I think so. A good HR person can help you, or a consultant can help you how to find more challenge. It could be a change of career, or it could be a different level in your career, or different aspect of your job. You're right. Any sign of boredom means the challenge is no longer equal to the skill. I know this professor, she told me that she teaches the same subject, has been teaching it for 20, 30 years, but what she does is, just to increase the challenge, every year she throws away the notes and starts all over again. Now that's not a small thing. Those who are teachers, you know, it's after some time, if you've got all your notes, all your references, all your material, it's a pleasure, you know, not to take up so much hard work anymore. But she does that. As a result, her classes are vibrant, and her knowledge is ever expanding. Her expertise is light years beyond her colleagues. It takes a little bit of courage to do that, you know. With a lot of effort, I decided what I will teach in that subject this year. Next year, I just throw it all out and start from scratch all over again. It takes effort, and it's a challenge.
Right. So just a follow-up question on that. So let's say if you have a hobby, right, where you have a lot of focus and where you are interested to do the things. So can we like leave the career and focus on your hobby?
Sure, why not? Just make sure that it pays for your life. And there is a saying, should I change my career or not? So 3 questions you have to answer. Am I good at it? Do I like it? Does it pay for my needs? Not my greed, but for my needs. So one is, am I good at it? If you say yes. Do I like doing it? If you say yes. And third, it pays for my needs, not my greed. Maybe other job may pay for more. But if answer is yes to all 3 questions, don't change your career. Now, I want to change and go into a hobby. I want to do that for a living. You know, if you really, really want it, try it out. It may fail. That's the problem. Make sure that you don't become a burden to others, and there's some support structure is there which will help you. It's always good, especially in this day and age, when so many opportunities are there, especially in advanced societies like Singapore, there opportunities are there. It's good to take that up, to do it. I read in Reader's Digest many, many years ago, there was this nurse who worked in, what's that called? Palliative care, people who are dying, caring for them. And she said, the last regrets, there's a common last regret of dying people. I wish I had followed my dream. Now life is over, I'm dying. One regret is remaining. I really wanted to do that or do something, whatever it is. I wish I had tried. So that regret should not be there in life.
Thank you so much. Thanks you. Thank you again.
Hi, Swami. My name is Sudarshan. I have a
Roshan.
question on the challenge equals to skill part, because I feel like if you're doing a 2-hour exam, for example, I feel like that there is like more focus if you like have more skill than challenge. And if you have more challenge than skill, I agree you don't have much focus. But if the challenge is equal to the skill, then that means that it would take you longer to actually complete the test, because you actually have to use your brain and find out the answer.
If you have more challenge than skill, then what happens?
then you obviously won't have focus because you can't actually do the test. But when you have more skill than challenge, you can actually have more focus.
Actually, what you're saying is you have more skill than challenge. You're basically saying there's a match between your challenge and skill. Just imagine, which grade are you in?
9, going to 10.
So suppose tomorrow you are supposed to take a test in grade 2. You will be like bored. You'll say, what is this kid stuff? Your skill is much more than the challenge, but you will not have focus. You will not even want to take that test. You won't even be interested in it. So what you are feeling when you have more skills and the challenge is little less and you get more focus there, basically it's a good match between your challenge and skill. That's what you're talking about.
But when there be more time, wouldn't it take a lot more time to figure out a question if it's like challenges equals to a skill than when you have like more skill in like that particular topic?
True, true. But this much you are taking away, right? There's a connection between challenge, skill and focus that you understand. That's good enough. Then you play with both challenge and skill and see where you get maximum focus. Okay.
Thank you.
Pranam Swamiji. My question is about sustainable focus and the role of taking breaks. So, for example, if I want to focus for the whole day on whatever thing I might be doing throughout the day, and have this continue for months and years, then sometimes we need to force ourselves to take breaks even when we are in a state of flow, simply because it's not sustainable to focus for such long periods of time.
You're
And
right.
it also
What is the
hampers our
role of
productivity.
taking breaks? Is that the question?
Yeah, so my question was like the role of taking breaks, the duration, and
You are right. Even from day to day, you should take breaks. And if it's a long-term project, it will take you months or years, you should take breaks. In fact, if you do not take breaks, the quality of your focus will deteriorate. So for example, I'll give you one technique which has come up recently. Many people are adopting it. 25-minute. So 25-minute, positive psychologists have studied it. This is sort of general for most human beings. 25 minutes you can intensely focus on some book, paperwork, some kind of assignment. 25 minutes you can do that if you're an adult. You can do that, but it should be intense focus, nothing else. No mobile phone, not even looking around, just intense focus on one thing for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. 5-minute break, don't do anything, just relax, stretch out, walk around, take a glass of water, do sit-ups, whatever you like, come back, 25 more minutes. This is intense and yet sustainable for some time. Sleep is important, exercise is important, food is important, especially if you are concentrating for several hours per day. It's very energy intensive. One might think you're sitting quietly, but the brain is a very energy intensive organ. It really burns up your energy. Yeah, so shutting down, changing of the occupation, relaxation, all very important. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Swamiji.
Shreya.
Maharaj, the previous speaker before him was saying something similar to what I wanted to ask, but my query is this. If I get a challenging question in an exam, how is it possible to overcome my anxiety and attempt that question, like way beyond my skill?
Build up your skills. So long before the exam, the challenge is fixed. You can't break down the challenge because you are not in charge of the exam.
Yeah.
So you have to build up your skills. The way people prepare for exams, you take easier versions of that exam and treat it like the real thing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a mock test and a real test. So build up your skills, face that situation again and again. So when you actually face the examination, you feel familiar. It won't feel overwhelming.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hi. So when I'm meditating, I sometimes I feel like I'm falling and then I lose my focus. So am I doing something wrong? Also, sometimes when I'm meditating for quite a number of time, I feel scared, or I feel like, okay, am I doing this too long? Should I stop?
All right.
So
So if
how
you,
do
I get it. If you feel that you have like a vertigo sensation or like a falling sensation during meditation, Just open your eyes, relax, take a deep breath, sit for a minute and go back into the meditation. It will solve the problem. Sometimes there are certain physical reasons why, like holding the body too rigid, some other reasons why we might get that falling sensation. Just open your eyes, relax and take a couple of deep breaths. Then go back into the meditation, it will solve the problem. Don't worry about it.
Okay. And what about like, how do I make myself go for longer periods of time? Like, how do I stop thinking like, oh, is this too long? Like,
No, have a routine. Not too long, not too short.
okay.
So always push the envelope a little bit. Don't overdo it. I'm used to meditating 15 minutes a day. Today I will meditate 15 hours. No, don't do that. I'm used to meditating 15 minutes a day. Today I will meditate 20 minutes.
Okay.
That everybody can do.
Okay.
If you're used to meditating half an hour a day, meditate for 45 minutes. Okay. Not more than that.
Okay. And also, I noticed that like when I do fall, like I'm still meditating, but I don't know if I should, like I feel like I should stop because am I really supposed to be falling? Like,
whenever you feel like that, just stop. Just stop, come out of meditation, take a deep breath and relax.
so
Don't
like,
worry about it.
Okay, so after I've fallen, I just come back into my position.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Relax.
Thank you.
All right, last part. I'll keep it short because we have sort of run out of a little bit of time. The third psychologist whose work I liked, Nathaniel Branden, he wrote a book, 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. 6 pillars of self-esteem. This self-confidence is very important. Swami Vivekananda gave a lot of importance on that. He said, the old religion said he who does not believe in God is an atheist. The new religion says he who does not believe in himself is an atheist. Himself, herself. If you do not believe in yourself, you are an atheist. What does religion say? Don't believe in God, you are an atheist. Sanskrit or Hindi or not, you say Nastik. But first of all, before believing in God, you have to believe in yourself. Have confidence in yourself. How do we get this confidence in us? Vivekananda gave great importance on this. Whether you're religious or not religious, whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, whether you believe in this religion or don't, whatever it is, first and foremost, you must have faith in yourself, confidence in yourself. Now, I was thinking, so how? What are the techniques of, what are the methods of increasing self-confidence? Then I found this work. It's a very famous work. Nathaniel Branden, you can see the name of the book. It's easily available over Amazon. I will give you the summary. But if you're interested, if you like the idea, then go into the actual book. Take a look at the actual book. So, 6 pillars. He says, in order to have confidence in yourself, really deep confidence in yourself, 6 things they have found in positive psychology. They have surveyed and found out 6 characteristics of people who have steady and strong confidence in themselves. So each one I will tell you briefly and then we will take the final Q&A. First one is living consciously. You can write it down. 6 pillars of self-esteem. Those who are taking notes. 6 pillars of self-esteem. Living consciously. Living consciously. What does that mean? Most of the time we are not living consciously. How is my time going by? How am I spending my time? How are my days and weeks and months going by? I don't know. Just like that. This is saying the JLT. Just like that. This just like that is very damaging. Time is going by, I have no accounting. Sometimes people in earlier generations, they used to keep, what do you call it, a diary. So daily they would write down some things of their day. So when you read it over a period of months or years, you get an accounting of how you are spending your time. Some people have a routine and they keep checking. So this is called living consciously. That's the first pillar. Unless you are aware of your life, there is no question of getting control of your life and getting confidence. So living consciously. Second pillar of self-confidence, he says, is acceptance. Acceptance. What is acceptance? To accept what we are now. What is my problem? What faults do I have? What weaknesses do I have? What wrong things I am doing? Won't it be against your confidence? No. False self-confidence is no good. Real, genuine self-confidence is a big help to us. To have genuine self-confidence, one must be aware of one's own problems. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't even have to write it down. But just be aware. Where am I? Right now, what is my level? One sadhu put it very nicely. He said in Hindi, I'll translate for you. अपनी सच्चाई स्वीकार करना महात्मा जी बहुत भारी भारी चीज होती है. To accept one's own truth, the truth of one's life. Who am I? What have I done in life? What does society think of me? What do I think about myself? Just sit back and accept it. That, all right, so this is what. No need to panic, no need to feel bad. I will improve it. I will make a change very soon. But first of all, know where you are starting. Then the third thing he said was taking responsibility. Taking responsibility. Often, people are quick to blame. Why am I suffering? My parents are not good parents. And finished. It's very popular in the United States. Always blaming parents, father, mother. Maybe it is true. Maybe they could have done a better job. And parents also, they lack confidence, self-confidence. So if they are blamed, they will always think we are at fault. No, you are not at fault. All parents do a basically average job. Very few parents are super excellent parents. So parents basically do an average job, good enough. You should say the kids when they blame, you should say, bas yahi hai, this much is what you have got in this lifetime. You want better parents next lifetime. So this lifetime, this is your parent. So don't blame parents, school, other people, system. Most people who have made something of their lives have made it in spite of circumstances. And there is a saying, I think it is Milton who said it. The mind in its own place can make a heaven from hell and a hell from heaven. Your mind by itself, it can change heaven into hell. Suppose you have all advantages. You are living in a place like Singapore, your parents are rich, they are giving you every facility possible. And that kid spoils his or her own life, just ruins it. We have seen many such circumstances, many such cases, many. Or one can turn hell into heaven. There are kids who have very difficult circumstances. Some of them at least, they win over those circumstances and make something out of their lives. So take responsibility. No matter what is the circumstance, my health may not be good, my financial situation, parents may not be rich, maybe the country I live in is not like Singapore, it may be a poor country, whatever it is, I can take responsibility for my life and make it better than it is. That much everybody can do. So take responsibility. The connection is, without taking responsibility, there is no chance of confidence. You cannot be confident about yourself if you have not taken responsibility for yourself. If others have given you success, you may enjoy it, but you will never be confident. If others have given you money, luxury, opportunities, you will be fine, but you will never be confident. If you have got it for yourself, you will be confident. So take responsibility. Then Nathaniel Branden says, next one is a little difficult, it's assertiveness. When you're trying to build confidence, you have to sometimes say no. You have to sometimes disagree with other people. You have to sometimes stand on your own feet. When you have found something that is true, that is good, that is beneficial, and you are following it, it is helping you, it's helping others, then don't let others throw you off your track. You must stand on your own feet. Stand for what you think is right and good. So that is called assertiveness. Assertiveness. I remember when we were students, we had a whole course. It was called AT, assertiveness training. Assertiveness training. You have a right to ask. Other person has a right to say no. Don't be shy. You have a right to ask. Other persons may agree or may not agree. You have a right to say no. So these things, assertiveness, stand on it. You don't have to do what your friends are doing. You don't have to do what others are persuading you to do. Not that you'll have to keep on disagreeing with people, If you're going on a particular path, stand on it and develop yourself accordingly. It's good. And always be open. If you find good advice anywhere, you're ready to change. Of course, why not? Don't be narrow, don't be fanatical or anything. Then personal, what is called, you live a life of purpose. You cannot have confidence unless you have a purpose in life. What is your life? What is your aim? I sometimes tell students, the difference is, what does this dress, what does it do? What does it signify? It does not signify that I've become an enlightened person like Buddha or something like that. No. But one thing it does signify, I have a clear purpose in life. I have a goal, God realization, enlightenment, that's my goal. And I say, if you go to the monastery, to the ashram, any person you ask, from the junior-most youngest monk to the senior-most monk, what is your goal in life, purpose in life? They will tell you straight away, and they really believe in it. That's why they have become a monk. You go outside into the world, ask young people, what's the goal of life? They'll give you a lecture on what should be the goal of life. No, what is your goal of life? That I don't know. I'm just doing this. Everybody's doing it, I'm doing it also. My parents told me, that's why I'm doing it. You must have a goal in life, a purpose in life. Without that, you cannot be confident. And finally, integrity, personal integrity. One must be, at least in one's own eyes, one must be an honest person. If my own mind is telling me that you are a dishonest person, that you are not sticking to your words and your actions don't match, then I can never be confident. I'll always be shaky. It's only a moral person, a truthful person, a sincere person who can have confidence. So these 6 pillars, they are the 6 pillars of confidence, self-esteem. Name of the book is 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. You wrote it down. Can someone tell me what is the first one? Living consciously. Somebody else, second one? Acceptance. Acceptance of what? My own reality, who I am now. Third, taking responsibility. Fourth, assertiveness. Assertiveness. Stand for what you believe in, then you will get confidence. Fifth, purposeful life, living a purposeful life. Some goal. If I ask you what is your goal in life, you should be able to say. If nobody asks you, you should be able to say to yourself, this is my purpose in life. It could be a high goal, ultimately God realization, enlightenment, final goal. But also goal today, goal for this week, goal for this year. You must have something to say in mind. It can change, but something must be there. Purpose must be there in life. And last one, personal integrity. Honesty. You must feel honest to yourself at least, that I am living up to my own standards. Okay, we have run out of time. Maybe a couple of questions if you have, or we will wrap it up. Yes, the lady here, and somebody from the back, parents, one parent at least. All right, the gentleman there. Please come. First this lady and then the gentleman. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Narayan Swamiji, my name is Chahak. My question is, when we go through this exercise and go through these 6 pillars of assessing ourselves in a certain way.
6 pillars of self-esteem, yes.
Self-esteem and
assessing yourself is at the second level, that is the acceptance.
Acceptance. So while we're going through this, even the personal integrity bit, right, that requires some level of assessment. So how do you know that you are assessing yourself fairly? Yeah,
how do you know you're assessing yourself fairly? There are ways. The psychologists will give you questionnaires and all, which make it more neutral. Sometimes we assess ourselves too easily. I'm a great guy. I believe in my own advertising. That is not an honest assessment. Sometimes, more often, people assess themselves too bitterly. They do what is called sell yourself short. Often women do that. I've noticed guys are very confident about themselves, have a great image about themselves. Women may be more qualified with more achievements, with everything going for them, and yet they feel anxious and they feel that I'm not doing enough or I'm not good enough. I've seen this again and again. I don't know why it is so. It's there. So make the best. You don't have to make a very, very good assessment of yourself, a very perfect assessment which others will agree with. You don't have to take surveys. I'm going around asking family members and office, what do you think of me? Please tell, grade me on these 10 criteria. You will become very unpopular so quickly. No, just a basic assessment of oneself. It need not be very sharp or very, it doesn't have to be very valid. Enough for once. Basically, the idea is to be a little conscious of oneself. That's all.
Thank you.
Hari Om Swamiji, my name is Rajan. I'm trying to link a couple of concepts from the three, which is purpose and meaning came up in first and third. And the second one was around focus. So there's a seeming contradiction on which I would love your guidance. So, at least in my case, the things that I find purposeful and meaningful, which are about contribution to larger society and frankly fighting against injustice, particularly as one thinks about India and the kinds of injustices that are perpetrated largely, including climate, but also social and others. That challenge is bigger than my skill and ability to actually contribute and to make a difference. And I find myself being quite distracted and wanting to, at the very least, commit some time and attention to be keeping abreast of those activities and doing whatever little Facebook activism or supporting causes.
Can you sharpen the question a little bit?
So the question is, if what one finds purposeful and meaningful, which is beyond oneself, in this case, the injustices and doing something about it, if that challenge is much greater than the skill to be able to contribute to it, because those problems are big and it leads to loss of focus, then there's a choice, which is either to let go of those things, not focus on them, which also doesn't feel meaningful and purposeful if you let go.
I think I get the question, yes.
Yeah.
So, just two observations on this. One is that the problems you're dealing with, they are huge. It is the very nature of the work that you are doing. For example, what would Mihai Csikszentmihalyi say? He would say, break down the challenge into manageable blocks. I'm sure you are doing that anyway. That's sort of logical. I'm not going to solve the entire climate crisis this way, but maybe I can persuade this sector to reduce use of plastics. So break it down into those, and each block itself will be very challenging. So that is one way. Break down the challenge into manageable blocks, which fit your skills. There is a saying, have you heard of the serenity prayer, anybody? Serenity prayer? Yes, some of you have heard of it. The Lord give me the strength to change the things which I can change, the patience to bear the things which I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Often what we do is, we take up causes sometimes. Ukraine war is going on. What should I do? How to stop it? You cannot. It's not in your capacity, really. There are some things which you can change. I have a bad relationship, a continuous fight going on with wife, husband, or somebody in the house. Not paying attention there. That you can change. It's within your capacity to change. So what is within our capacity to change, let's pay attention there. What's not within our capacity to change, let's have the capacity to have patience there, hold on there, and to know the difference. This was one thing which I wanted to say. And the second thing was, yes, very good point he has made. I should have said it myself. The three things which we did, happiness studies, concentration or focus, and self-confidence. What is common to all of them? What is common to all of them? Think about it. Many things are linked. Many things are common. Happiness, E, and this, what is it? P plus E plus M. But then next, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi said your happiness depends on concentration. More concentrated you are, the more happy you will be. And what you are concentrating on. That's another insight into happiness. And next, look, confidence. It requires conscious living. You must put attention on your own life. So these are linked. This is a good point that he has, very important point he has made. They are not separate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming here, paying attention, listening carefully, and hopefully there's some takeaway which you will take from here and use it in your own lives. And if you found it interesting, nowadays all of this is available online. Just look it up, positive psychology. Huge amount of work has been done. Lot of these surveys and all, somebody was asking, how will I assess myself accurately? Many of the surveys are available on Seligman's website, like AuthenticHappiness.org, all free. And these are all academically, rigorously, vetted and designed. They are not anecdotal or just some person has made up something. No, these are recognized academically in psychology departments across the world. So investigate little more. It is helpful for our day-to-day life. Let me do a peace chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.